There are players who impress you, and then there are players who make you question whether the sport has a higher art form. Kaká belonged to the second category. Talk to any defender from his era, and the answer comes out before the question even lands. Kaká, in his prime, they say it like it was a universal truth, like gravity. You hear stories of him gliding through midfields, brushing aside markers, sprinting past world-class defenders with that long, elegant stride that looked almost unfair. Players from different generations, even those blessed with their own magic, admit that he was different. He wasn't flashy for the sake of being flashy. He was decisive, efficient, almost surgical with the ball. When legends talk about him, their voices shift. You hear Rio Ferdinand admit the shock of seeing him drop his head, knock the ball past Ashley Cole, a defender who did not get beaten like that and just vanish into open space. You hear teammates talk about his selflessness, how he ran, fought, pressed, created, and finished all with the same calm expression. No ego, no drama, just pure football. Kaká didn't need 100 stepovers. He just needed one touch, one stride, one moment. And in that moment, he made the game feel beautiful in a way only he could. But Kaká's story didn't start in the way people imagine Brazilian football to begin. No dusty streets, no struggle for survival, no dramatic poverty to glory arc. He was born Ricardo Isaacson dos Santos Leite on April 22nd, 1982, in Gama, into a stable, well-educated, comfortable family. His father was a civil engineer, his mother a school teacher. He had books at home, food on the table, and the rare privilege of growing up without chaos. And yet football still chose him. His younger brother, unable to pronounce Ricardo, blurted out Kaká, and that little nickname stuck forever. Football ran through the family. His brother Digao became a professional player, his cousin Eduardo Delany too. But even with the comfort and structure around him, Kaká wasn't lazy, entitled or soft. He was disciplined from day one. He studied, trained and improved like someone who understood exactly what he wanted to become long before the world realized it. When the family moved to Sao Paulo at age 7, the city's pulse fit perfectly with his growing ambition. They enrolled him in a small club called Alphaville, and that was where his talent truly started making noise. One local tournament changed everything. Scouts spotted him, whispered to each other, and before long, Sao Paulo FC, one of the biggest clubs in Brazil, wanted the skinny 8-year-old kid with the soft smile and sharp touch. That early interest wasn't luck. It was the first confirmation that Kaká wasn't ordinary. Kaká spent 7 seasons in Sao Paulo's youth ranks, and it wasn't easy. He wasn't physically strong. He was lean, injury-prone, and often told he had to bulk up if he ever wanted to survive senior-level football. Instead of breaking him, that criticism became fuel. He followed a strict nutrition plan, hit the gym religiously, and gained 10 kilograms of muscle in less than 2 years. Every setback turned into another reason to push harder. Then came the moment that nearly ended everything before it truly began. At 18, a simple jump into a swimming pool went wrong. He hit his spine. Doctors feared paralysis. His entire career, his entire future was hanging by a thread. But Kaká recovered. Medically, it was remarkable. To him, it was divine. He became deeply religious after that, convinced his second chance at life meant something bigger. That conviction shaped everything that happened next. At 19, he finally broke into Sao Paulo's first team. And suddenly, it felt like he had been waiting for that moment his entire life. 12 goals in his debut season. 2 goals in 2 minutes in the Rio-Sao Paulo final that instantly turned him into a national sensation. Journalists swarmed his house. Fans recognized him on the street. And Brazil's national team came calling. He made the 2002 World Cup squad, shared a dressing room with Ronaldo, Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, Cafu, won the tournament at just 20 years old. And still, he stayed grounded, hungry and focused. But Sao Paulo was struggling financially, and Europe's giants were circling. Juventus watched. Manchester United called. Leverkusen and Brescia sent offers. In 2003, AC Milan moved quickly. They signed him for just over $8 million. a price that would look ridiculous only months later. He walked into a Milan squad filled with legends: Pirlo, Seedorf, Cafu, Dida, Shevchenko, Rivaldo. You would expect a 21-year-old to need time, patience, and luck. Kaká needed none of that. Within weeks, he replaced Rui Costa. Within months, he became Milan's heartbeat. A new era had begun, and football, once again, became beautiful. Kaká's debut season at AC Milan felt like a revelation. He stepped into a squad filled with champions, but instead of blending in, he immediately rose above the noise. His elegance on the ball, the way he dribbled with long, controlled strides and picked passes that others didn't even see, quickly turned him into the pulse of Milan's midfield. In 2003-04, he helped Milan secure the Scudetto, playing like a seasoned veteran despite being barely 21. His Champions League debut campaign was equally impressive until the infamous night against Deportivo, when Milan's 4-1 advantage evaporated into a stunning 4-0 defeat. Even in that disaster, Kaká stood out as the one player who seemed capable of changing the rhythm whenever he touched the ball. By the end of the season, he was crowned Serie A Player of the Year. Europe had a new superstar, and he wore number 22. The following season pushed him even deeper into Milan's creative core. Carlo Ancelotti redesigned the system so Kaká could sit slightly behind the strikers, linking Pirlo's control with Shevchenko's finishing. He became the connector, the decision maker, the heartbeat. The Scudetto race with Juventus was fierce, a constant tug of war that Milan eventually lost by the smallest margins. But in Europe, Milan moved like a machine. They swept past Manchester United, battled Inter in a chaotic quarter-final that ended with flares raining from the stands and the match being abandoned, and then survived a brutal tie against PSV where Kaká's assists made the difference. All roads pointed toward Istanbul, a final that should have been the crowning moment of their dominance. The 2005 Champions League final began as a masterpiece. Kaká orchestrated everything. His spin past Steven Gerrard, that outrageous outside of the foot pass to Crespo, and Milan's total control made the match feel over by halftime. 3-0. Complete dominance. But football loves chaos, and Liverpool delivered it in 6 unimaginable minutes. 3 goals. Total collapse. Milan was stunned. Kaká missed his penalty in the shootout, and the miracle of Istanbul became a nightmare etched into the club's history. Instead of breaking him, it sharpened him. That summer, in the 2005 Confederations Cup, he pushed Brazil through a shaky group stage, helped knock out Germany in a high-intensity semi-final, and smashed a brilliant long-range goal in the final against Argentina. Back in Milan, he carried the team again, scoring a stunning hat-trick in Serie A and spearheading another strong Champions League run before Barcelona eliminated them. Juventus took the league, and then Calciopoli exploded across Italy. Milan were docked 8 points, their season thrown into chaos. But even then, Kaká remained consistent, driving forward, scoring goals, offering stability in a league drowning in scandal. Then came the 2006 World Cup. Kaká started brilliantly, scoring a rocket against Croatia and creating chance after chance through the group stage. Against Ghana, he provided the assist that sealed the match, but France ended Brazil's run in the quarterfinals. Another emotional blow, another test of resilience. And once again, he answered. With Shevchenko's departure in 2006 to 2007, Milan needed a new leader. Kaká didn't hesitate. He elevated his game to a level that felt unreal, carrying Milan through Europe with a mix of calm genius and ruthless execution. He broke Celtic in extra time, destroyed Bayern with assists and goals, and then produced one of the greatest individual Champions League performances of all time at Old Trafford, humiliating defenders with balance, pace, and intelligence before scoring a legendary solo goal that froze the stadium. In the rain at San Siro, he dominated the second leg and dragged Milan to yet another final. This time, destiny allowed no heartbreak. Against Liverpool in Athens, Milan played with patience, awareness, and scars that had turned into wisdom. A deflected Pirlo free kick gave Inzaghi the opener. And in the second half, Kaká served him the perfect pass for the second goal. A delicate, threaded ball only he could see. Milan lifted the Champions League trophy and exhaled the pain of Istanbul. Kaká stood at the summit of world football. His 2007 didn't stop there. UEFA crowned him the best forward and the best player in Europe. Milan won the Super Cup. They conquered the Club World Cup with Kaká scoring and assisting like he had stepped into a different gear altogether. Then came the ultimate recognition, the Ballon d'Or and the FIFA World Player of the Year, finishing ahead of both Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. The following seasons were harder. Injuries in the squad, inconsistent league campaigns, a Champions League exit to Arsenal. When Manchester City offered a world record €100 million in 2009, Milan considered it. The fans begged him to stay, and he did, but everyone knew the era was ending. Kaká had given Milan magic, titles, beauty, and now fate was pulling him toward the next chapter. Kaká's move to Real Madrid in 2009 began with the kind of drama that felt too heavy for a player who had given everything to Milan. The club was drowning financially, and despite his loyalty, his connection with the fans, and his constant insistence that he wanted to stay, Milan needed money. Florentino Perez, who had admired Kaká for years, saw the chance to rebuild his Galacticos project and pushed hard for the transfer. Eventually, the deal was sealed for €67 million, one of the biggest transfers the world had ever seen. Kaká left Milan in tears, not because Madrid wasn't a dream, but because leaving felt like a chapter being torn out rather than turned. At Madrid, he started brightly. A few goals, crisp assists, and the familiar elegance hinted that he could replicate his Milan magic in Spain. But then came the first injury. A small problem at first, but the pain never fully went away. He pushed through, trying to adapt to a faster, more physical league while managing discomfort he didn't talk about publicly. His first season produced solid numbers, but something was off. The explosiveness, the long strides, the unstoppable acceleration, everything that once made him uncontainable seemed to fade faster than anyone expected. By the summer of 2010, the truth came out. Kaká needed knee surgery, and it wasn't a minor issue. His recovery was long, painful, and full of setbacks. Just as he returned, ready to reclaim his spot, Real Madrid signed Mesut Ozil. The German instantly connected with Cristiano Ronaldo and became the centerpiece of Mourinho's attack. Kaká, still regaining rhythm, suddenly found himself pushed to the bench. Mourinho loved his tactical discipline, but Ozil's vision and fitness made him the preferred option. Kaká tried to fight back, but his body never fully recovered the way he hoped. The final journey. The 2011-12 season offered a brief spark of what could have been. Kaká contributed goals, assists, and reminders of his genius as Madrid stormed to their iconic 100-point league season. But even in those moments, it was clear he wasn't the same force. The burst of acceleration lasted fewer seconds, the runs were shorter, the stamina was inconsistent. His technique remained flawless, but his body simply couldn't match the rhythm the team demanded. The decline wasn't sudden. It was slow, steady, and painful to watch. His final season at Madrid felt like a long goodbye. Kaká never reached 30 league appearances in a single season during his entire stay, and by 2012-13, he was mostly a substitute. His numbers told the story. Moments of brilliance, scattered across long stretches of silence. It was clear that Madrid had moved on, and deep down, Kaká knew he needed a place where he could breathe again. That place, of course, was Milan. In 2013, he returned to the club that made him a legend. Fans welcomed him like a long-lost hero, chanting his name with the same passion as the day he left. He became vice-captain, scored goals, created magic in flashes, and even led Milan back into the Champions League. But the team around him was nowhere near the level he once elevated. Milan struggled, the season fell apart, and despite his best efforts, Kaká knew this chapter had reached its natural end. After one emotional season, he decided to leave Europe, closing his legendary Italian journey with grace. His next stop was MLS, signing with Orlando City as their first major star. Before joining them officially, he went on loan to São Paulo, returning once more to the club that first believed in him. In MLS, he rediscovered joy. He wasn't the unstoppable force of old, but he was still brilliant, scoring goals, assisting effortlessly, and becoming the face of Orlando's project. His professionalism, charisma, and warmth made him one of the league's most respected figures. These final years weren't about trophies. They were about enjoying the game that had defined his life. Goodbye of a gentleman. In 2017, at 35, Kaká made the decision he had been quietly preparing for. He retired from football, turning down offers from Milan and Sao Paulo because he didn't want to return without being able to give them his best. He spoke openly about wanting to move into a director role, to remain in football not as a star but as a thinker, a builder, a mentor. His goodbye felt peaceful, measured, and fitting for a man who had always carried himself with calm dignity. Internationally, his legacy was just as powerful. 92 caps, 29 goals, 3 World Cups, and 2 Confederations Cup triumphs. He was part of the last great Brazil that lifted the World Cup, and he played with a level of flair, discipline, and intelligence that made him one of the most complete playmakers the game has ever seen. But beyond the numbers, beyond the trophies, there was the man. The one with deep faith, a gentle smile, a reputation for kindness that followed him everywhere he played. Teammates adored him, rivals respected him, fans across the world admired him, not just for the beauty of his football, but for the beauty of his character. Kaká's story is not just about a legend who rose, shined, declined, and retired. It's about a man who made football look effortless, elegant, pure. A man who proved that greatness doesn't need arrogance, that magic doesn't need noise, and that beauty sometimes can be as simple as a player gliding past defenders with one touch and a smile. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise, fall, and legacy of Kaká, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next football story. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.